Hi, I'm Ambassador Sujay, and thank you so much for joining me for Live with Sujay. We hope these shows will enliven you, but we know that the events of this past week have enraged many of us. And all the things we thought were buried about racism in America that have been done to us, to our children, to our family members, all kind of bubbled up. So we certainly are calling for peaceful protest. But we also want to hope that America will be America again and that it will be the United States of America and that justice will prevail. So I want to thank all of those who are bringing justice to bear and continue to call upon our legislators to do what they can do, but you and I can do what we can do. And so I promise to fight for justice for the rest of my life. I fought for human rights all over the world as a U.S. ambassador at large for international religious freedom, and certainly as a mother of two African American men, the daughter of an African American man, the sister of an African American man, was married to an African American man. We want to make sure that our men and our women are protected under all the rule of law. So thank you, legislators. Thank you, policymakers. Thank you, leaders who are moral leaders who continue to work for us. So today you're going to see a show, Allan Houston, a family man, a friend, a man of faith, who's doing what he can to help the young people to have legacy and to learn leadership with integrity. So I hope you'll enjoy the show, and I hope every Wednesday you'll turn to Live with Sujay at 3 p.m. We have wonderful guests coming to you, and we thank you for your support and your comments before, during, and after the show. So if you haven't had a chance to subscribe, please do so. But visit me every Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Live with Sujay. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your support. And God bless America.
Ooh, you can live, you can laugh, you can love. Life with Sujay. Oh, oh, oh.
Hi, and welcome to Live with Sujay. We are all the way live and in living color. So happy and delighted to have you join us. Thank you for being with me for my premiere show. You're all the way wonderful and awesome. But we are so excited today to have Allan Houston, the Allan Houston, my friend, my neighbor, God's man, God's servant. We're so delighted to have him. So we welcome you to Live with Sujay. How are you? How are you today?
I'm honored to be here. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm honored to be here. How are you?
I'm wonderful, and thank you for doing this show for us. You know, you're my neighbor in Sag Harbor, and we're so delighted to know you. I see you from a distance, and I also see you up close and personal as a father, a family man, certainly. How many children now?
Seven, 21
wow,
to
okay.
8.
So seven's the biblical number of completion. So we wish you and your wife and your family well during this time. How are you handling this pandemic?
It's an adjustment for everyone. When it first started, I was actually selfishly kind of excited that I was going to get this time with them every day.
Yes.
Times that I knew that I would never get back. You have two college students who are home.
Yes.
And it felt like it was an extended vacation in some ways, but then life it takes its normal shape, and you see what's going on in the outside world, and you start to see how so many people have been affected physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually.
Very much so.
So.
Did you have to homeschool your younger children?
Yeah, so they fortunately their school I thought did a really good job of preparing them and being prepared for a time like this.
That's awesome.
They transitioned right into the online. They had their schedules. In some ways, I always like to try to figure out what the positives are and what the silver linings are.
Exactly.
They became, I felt, pretty responsible in getting their work done, printing the work out, getting it done. They were focused. Look, there are a lot of adverse effects to this whole thing, but I think we got to try to find some of the positives.
And yeah, look at
Um,
opportunities that are on the, not only during the pandemic, but on the other side of it. You know, like your college students are going to have a different college experience. The children at home are going to go to a different type of normal, and certainly families are going to. But it has been great to have families together. I had both of my grown sons home at one time here in Sag Harbor, and it is a rich time. But now everyone's ready to start getting on their path and figure out what we can create on the other side of this. So let me ask you about, you know, you're philanthropic in the sense that not only do you give funds because you do that, but you're philanthropic because you're giving legacy. You're trying to help create legacy for a
yeah,
generation that follows. Why is that so important to you?
great question. Legacy is it's one of the main pillars of my life, my family, my history, and my brand.
Yeah.
FIZZLE, which is an acronym for faith, integrity, sacrifice, leadership, and legacy,
Yes.
began with the relationship with my father and myself. Growing up in Louisville, Kentucky, 2 doors down from Muhammad Ali, my mother and he were friends. My father and he became friends, and my father was my college coach.
Yeah. So you went to
I learned
University of Tennessee?
University of Tennessee. He was the first Black coach in the Southeastern Conference. In the
Oh
whole
my
conference, he was the
goodness.
first Black basketball coach. So I learned a lot about legacy just from watching my parents, how they handled not only being parents, but being leaders in the community, by being business leaders,
Yes.
social leaders. So when you see all those dimensions of leadership play out, that was something that you just saw it. It just was who our family was and is. So by the time I had a chance to really think about who I was and what impact I wanted to make, it was pretty much the foundation had been laid, and
Yes.
that those 5 kind of core values were just, they just resonated. So,
So it's not just
my
enough to
parents,
make money, but it's to have values and ethics and morality that go along with that.
well, the first question I always go, we had a conversation just today with my daughter. We were talking about the recent turn of events, and we were talking about Black history, and she was saying that one of her classmates asked, well, why isn't there a white history? And so I said, first thing we always have to go back to is the why, the purpose,
Yes.
why we're here, why
Yes.
Black people are here in the first place, why we're here. We're here to be an expression of God, the living God.
Yes.
We're here to magnify and glorify Him. We do have an opponent in this race, right?
Yes.
And so that is, so when you think about the bigger picture in life, it's a skill that we have to develop to always see from an eternal perspective. And when you do that, you see that, you know what, there are bigger things that we need to be mindful of. And my gift was playing basketball. But the bigger thing was, what do you do with it?
Exactly.
And
Exactly. What's
my
placed in your
parents,
hands? What's placed in your hands to do?
yes. And
Yes.
so it was really faith, family, education, finance. You
Yes.
have to be empowered and equipped in those areas to pass something down that's tangible that will glorify God.
So do you start with your children in terms of budgeting and understanding how to invest and how to save, so that they will have something not just for their retirement, but for their life and their lifestyle?
Yeah, and I gotta say, we talk about it, but I need to do a much better job of putting mechanisms in place, for that. But yeah, we definitely talk about, the values of, okay, we don't really need that, so we're just not going to get it just because we want it.
Exactly. Exactly.
So those type of things. We talk about work ethic. We talk about mindset. We talk about the things that you're going to need no matter what stage of life you're in. We talk about relationships and
Yes.
healthy relationships and,
Yes.
what's integrity. So those values that carry through your finance, through your relationships, through your work, through your school, through your sports, that's where we really hit home, try to hit home a lot. But I will say that the financial piece is something that we got to do better at, because
Yeah, I think we all do, because even talking with my
yeah.
sons, you have to always keep planting the seed. But I look back and I think back on my parents, as you do, in terms of how visionary they were and how they did so much with so little, but they invested it wisely. Yeah. So that's awesome. So let's talk about your days as a former Knick. You also an assistant coach afterwards. Yeah. You can't really go back, but can you talk about those days as a player and your formation into manhood as a public figure? What did you have to do differently than someone who actually was not, in terms of public lifestyle? Like, how did you have to learn how to live in the public life?
It's a great, well, it still comes back to who you are, right?
Yes.
No matter what you do, you still have an identity that and a legacy you're trying to uphold. So, my perspective on everything still started back to the why and who I am.
Yes.
So there were things that I think there were things that I was taught early in terms of, if you're going to go after something, go after it to the fullest, right?
Yes.
And one of my biggest struggles internally was, I want to be the best, but the question is, why do you want to be the best?
Right.
So do you want to work hard at 3 in the morning, go to the gym, get up and outwork people just because you said you could do it? Or is there something benefit that you're going to gain that's going to give glory to God?
Yes.
So
yes.
I wanted to say, look, I want to be a killer on the court. I want to be humble. I want to be hardworking. I want to be respected, because essentially that's what's going to motivate and inspire other people. And so I wasn't really worried about how much money I made. It was about the effect that you had to impact winning. It's all about winning.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So in everything you do, whether it's high school, college, no matter what level, what sport you're in, your job is to say, how can I help this team win? And
Good
that's
point.
really
Hold
how
that
I
point
tried
right
to
there.
approach it.
Point right there. I want to come back to winning for a second. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying with us. You're on Live with Sujay. We'll be back in a few moments with the great, legendary Allan Houston. Thank you. Hi, thanks for joining me. One of the books that's really been helpful to a lot of people, I've been getting letters in and emails in, it's called Balancing Your Life, God's Hope for a Plan and a Future, with a foreword by Bishop T.D. Jakes. We did this when I was on tour with him, and it helps us to keep our life in perspective, that we have to be like a car. We're having all 4 of our wheels rotated. We are mind, body, spirit, and soul. And I want you to be together, not only during this pandemic, but throughout your life. So this is Balancing Your Life. Hope you'll get it. You can get it on Amazon or anywhere where books are sold. Hi, and we're back with Live with Sujay. We're talking with the great Allan Houston. If you have not done so yet, I want you to press that little button. They usually say, don't move that dial. No, I want you to move that dial. I want you to press that subscribe button and that thumbs up. That means that you like it. And I want you to stay with us every week at 3 o'clock for Live with Sujay. So we're here with Allan Houston. Thank you so much. Your energy, your manhood. I just am so excited. We were talking about winning in sports, winning in life. If you had to define success or winning, if you had to put the formula together, in fractions we had A plus B plus C equals D. What's your formula for winning?
Yeah. Well, John Wooden had a great quote about winning, about success. Mm-hmm. And he said, it's the peace of mind, having the self-satisfaction of knowing that you've done the best job at doing your best at what you're capable of becoming.
Yes.
And winning to me and success are kind of synonymous, in that you have a goal, you have an assignment. And I believe that God has given everyone a specific kind of assignment, goal in life. And winning to me is just accomplishing that which you're called to do and to be.
Yes.
And that looks different for everyone. If you watch, for example, people talk about The Last Dance a lot, the recent
I was going to ask you about that
documentary. Well, there were people on that team who may not have gotten a lot of the minutes, may not have gotten a lot of the shots,
Yes.
but they were in practice every day helping that team prepare, and they won a ring.
Yes.
So winning does not have to mean I've launched this, 3 million followers, or I've
Right.
gotten a certain amount of money or material gain. But winning is about accomplishing what you're supposed to do and being the best at that.
Exactly. That's awesome. So I see faith is underlying everything that you do, which is so important. And I too believe that everyone has an assignment in life. Some get more than one, but you have to at least fulfill that one that you were given. When did you know about your assignment? When did you say, this is what I was called to do?
Yeah. I was really introduced to basketball way before I can even remember. I learned to walk on a basketball court.
Okay.
My father was always around it. I learned greatness and saw it at such an early age. He was coaching NBA players before they got to the NBA. So for me, I saw a standard of excellence and a level of expectation at an early age. And
Okay.
so when I got to about a sophomore in high school, we had a really big state basketball tournament, and you're playing in front of 23,000 people at 15, and
Yes.
in a hostile environment. And that was really when it stuck out. Okay, this might be something that I can pursue with a high calling, and just kept growing. And every year I felt like I added something. I got better and something, but I just had a passion for it. I loved it.
Okay.
I just really, my father my parents did a masterful job of creating this environment where I loved it. I just wanted to be really good.
Yes.
And I wanted to be like that in everything I did. Like to this day, I don't play video games a lot because it takes too long for me to be great.
Yes.
So
yeah.
if I'm not going to really be good at something, then I'm going to go to something that I can be really good at.
I love
That's just
that.
my mentality.
I love that. Yes.
So I think, around high school was, I think, the age where I was like, okay, I want to go after this. And I think that's one of the things that we challenge young people is you got to find something that you'll do without someone telling you to do it. You're so passionate about it that you want to be great. You'll do it and forgot you ate, you were sleeping because you're just that passionate about it. And then find the fundamentals and a coach to help you be great.
So now you talked about having been in some hostile environments, and anyone who's African American, Black in America has faced some hostility. We can't close the show without asking you about what's happening in Minneapolis, what happened last week with Aubrey, what's happened throughout life. I'm raising two sons, we've raised two sons. So of course I'm very sensitive as a mother of Black men, but you are a Black man. How are you feeling right now, and how have you made it through life knowing that there is a lot of hostility?
Well, it's funny. I try to keep up with people's feelings and perspectives, but also, again, I want to come back to what does God say in this? So I feel like a lot of us are saying, I'm tired. I'm overwhelmed, and my sense. So I majored in African American history at University of Tennessee, and it took me a while to come back and say, well, why did you what did you gain from that, and what did you learn? What are you taking from it? Look, it is, as a Black person, I feel like it's like you're a team that's playing on the road all the time.
That's a great analogy.
So you're a team that's always playing on the road. You never have home games. So you're always in an environment that you have to overcome, endure, fight against the elements, fight against the officials. And I'm conflicted because I don't think we should be saying I'm tired.
Right.
Our grandparents, they felt that way, but they didn't have time to engaged in that thought process. And so I really wonder, because so when I think about Minneapolis, I immediately go back to in 1704 in the Carolinas where slave patrolling began.
Oh, wow.
Right? Policing really started with slave patrolling before the Emancipation Proclamation.
Yes.
And it was a way for order to and suppression to be put in place in a legal way.
Yes.
Right. So to me, it kind of always goes back to that. So when you know, again, go back to the why, and why things are in place, then you can think, okay, well, what can we really do? And that's where I struggle, because
is fizzle one of your ways to fight back? I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, because here's what fizzle to me is about: capturing everything we talked about is about instilling values and a winning mindset. See, if I know who I am, right? If I know that I value myself more than burning down a Black business, I'm frustrated, I'm angry, but why would I burn down my own community? As frustrated as I am, why would I? So I know it's like, so fizzle to me, it aligns us with values. It aligns us with what matters to you the most. So what we can do is we can do this. We can have conversations, uncomfortable conversations, and questions to people who we think don't care. Because I think what happens is when Black Lives Matter is powerful, because it's right up front. It's saying that this life matters, whether it matters to you or not. It matters. Yes. So how is something going to matter to you enough where you really want to do something about it? People aren't going to do anything about anything that doesn't matter to them.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So
and every generation
has to make it matter.
And every generation has their expression of how that plays out as well. I remember one time I was a police chaplain. I was the first female chaplain for NYPD. And it was when Amadou Diallo was killed. And so I was on the inside, and I remember Al Sharpton and lots of, famous people were marching actually up to police headquarters. And we were talking about some have to be on the inside because there were Black officers who were also experiencing racism. And if I weren't there, who was going to be the one who could go to the commissioner's office? But we also needed Al Sharpton and Earl Graves and the others to march on the outside, so that every generation has to do, like you said, what their assignment is, and to not fault someone for being at the table, because that's what we kind of march to do. But let's figure out how we put all of that together to help our people. And so you've been doing it with Fizzle.
No, I really appreciate it. Yeah. I really appreciate that perspective, because I feel like for someone to be at the table, if you're at the table and you have a place of influence and impact, then that should be celebrated.
Yes.
But when that happens, somebody's gonna in these little chatter boxes are gonna be like, look at this person. Well, you should be like, what do you think? How do you think anything's gonna change?
Exactly.
Were you mad at Dr. King when he was able to sit at the table and change policy?
Exactly.
Like, so that's really, but I think for Fizzle, I think what Fizzle does at its core is it establishes a trusting relationship between a youth and adult.
Yes, which is
so when you have
important.
A trusted relationship, right? So when the adult has a mirror in their face to say what I'm saying to this young person, I'm actually modeling.
Exactly.
And then when a young person can say, since you're modeling these values of faith, integrity, sacrifice, leadership, and legacy, I can trust you to help you. I can trust you to help me implement them in my life.
Yes.
And that's really what Fizzle is about. So now you have a trusted relationship between a law enforcement person and a young person, because you're talking about something that's bigger than both of us.
Exactly. The modeling is so important. So important. Well, you have modeled so much for us, for me. I thank you as a man of integrity, a father, a husband, a model of success, that you haven't let success go to your head, but you used your head to help others be successful. And I really, really appreciate you for that. What would you say to people who are feeling hopeless in this pandemic? What's your word that you would give them to encourage them to hold on?
Man, look how far you've come. You know, look at what you've done. Someone asked me someone gave me this kind of actually tip to speak to the high school students and graduates who are so unsure.
Yes.
And they said, Al, you have to remind them of where they come from. What like, this is nothing new under the sun, what we're facing. So what it means is that this is only another opportunity, obstacle. You know, let's go back to playing on the road, right? Winning on the road was the most exhilarating thing you can do as an athlete.
Yes.
Right? Because everybody's cheering, they spitting, they're doing all this, and when you can walk off victorious in their building, there's nothing better than that. Because of the adversity and you know, so I say that this is an obstacle that is laid out for us to overcome.
Yes.
And hope is an essential ingredient, because hope breeds expectation.
Yes.
And when you expect something, then it's very likely that your mindset will shift to meet that expectation, right? And so I think hope is something that you just have to pull on. You have to pull on it like it's that life vest, you know,
right.
until
Don't
you
let it
kind of
go.
get up into the boat.
Yes.
Don't ever let it go.
Don't
right?
ever let it
it's
go.
because it's there. It's there. God has given us everyone a measure of faith.
Yes.
God has given everyone a measure of faith, because that's how we were created. That's how we're created to connect with Him, is through faith.
That's
and so
the word.
if you're living and breathing, then you have some faith.
That's the word. I really appreciate the time you shared with us. And that's a perfect word to end on. God has given us a measure of faith. Don't let go of hope. Hold on with everything you've got. We've been speaking with Allan Houston. Thank you for sharing time with us. Thank you for sharing this time with us. Subscribe, share, like. Be with us every week, Wednesdays at 3 o'clock. And don't let go of hope. This is Ambassador Sujay with Live with Sujay, coming back to you. Thank you.